Well, a teacher at Yale defends looting, the kind of chaos we saw in Baltimore. Gray, an activist in the Black Lives Matter movement, DeRay McKesson, was hired, believe it or not, to lecture for 2 days at the Ivy League school and describes looting as a protest on par with the Boston Tea Party. Here now is Julie Roginski, former political advisor to the late Senator Frank Lautenberg, Fox News contributor. And Tom Sullivan joins us, host of the Tom Sullivan Show on Fox News Radio. Great to see you all.
Good to see you.
What about that comparison to the Boston Tea Party?
Well, if you look at what he said, Rand Paul, came out and criticized Yale for having this class. And he came out, and this teacher came out and said, look, if he's against free speech, if he's against examining the causes of looting, which is what this lecture was about, the underlying causes of looting, then he's also against examining things like the Tea Party and the Revolution, which obviously also involved looting, which the Boston Tea Party did. So that was his analogy. You know, I don't think it's an unfair analogy. I'll also say it's the same, you know, anybody opposed to this should also be not then outraged about trigger warnings. We have academic freedom in this country. Let's hearing what these people have to say.
The danger is that this is a guy who leads a movement, Black Lives Matter, Tom, and people might mistake his remarks as advocating looting. And the last, I went to a public law school, so it was free. But looting is a crime.
Well, Julie, I don't know. You left your purse in the green room. I took your wallet. It's okay because I wanted it. It was something that I felt your property was mine.
If you want to discuss the academic merits of taking my property, it's a little different from actually taking my property. It's not advocating anybody go out and loot.
What I love about this story is about the academic merit. First of all, the guy was at the Yale Divinity School. That's for the people that are going to become ministers and so forth. And secondly is, remember when you were in college, we all figured out which classes we needed to take, and we compared notes and said, this professor is an easy A, this one is a hard professor. They know what this guy's all about. And he only is teaching 2 days, 1 credit. He's not a teacher, he's a lecturer. He has no credibility, and the students at Yale will figure out that this guy is a joke.
You know, this analogy to me, when I studied World War II in college, not an easy class, I read Mein Kampf. Now, was I advocating because I read Hitler's book about genocide? Did I read when I was studying?
And
what's the problem? Was in the syllabus.
Let me put up on the screen the essay that he asked students to read, and here's part of it. The mystifying ideological claim that looting is violent and non-political is one that has been carefully produced by the ruling class because it is precisely the violent maintenance of property which is both the basis and the end of their power. My Lord, you know, Tom, the problem is that you get these young and impressionable students right out of high school, and, you know, they're soaking up this.
Well, divinity
to a point, though. First of all, you got to assume that most of the kids that are at Yale are pretty smart, and you had professors. I debate that. You had wacky professors, so did I, and I had their number right away. Even if they don't, we talk about the parents' responsibility to teach their kids. They come home from public school, they come home from private school, and you think about little children. But I think it still applies to parents of college-age kids to sit down and talk to them about what is it that they're teaching you.
Listen, what you just read right now is no more offensive than anything that I could read you from the Communist Manifesto, from Das Kapital, from Mein Kampf, what was written there. So my point is this. If I studied all those things in college and did not come out espousing any of those beliefs, but it expanded my worldview and it allowed me to understand different worldviews, why is this any different?
And it also introduces these kids to somebody from a different viewpoint that they have never seen before and let them judge whether or not they want to buy into that.
Right.
The argument that seems to be made here is that there are no innocent victims of looting, that looting is simply a protest over government action. Well, there are innocent victims of looting. I mean, look at the store. There were store owners there that had their property looted, and now they've lost their livelihood, and it's horrible.
Do you want people in academia to only be exposed to a particular worldview, or do you want them to be exposed to different worldviews and then they can come up with their own?
Because it's a wacky worldview. He believes that police are people's property.
It is an academic text. Are you kidding me right now? It is an academic text. The same way as I said to you.
Do you think everybody understands that in the classroom?
I would hope so. They're in
Really?
academia. I would hope
Honestly,
so. Yes,
you
I
think
really
they
do.
understand
Yes,
that?
I really.
It's a one credit. He's not a professor.
Did I
he's a
understand?
lecturer.
Did I understand when I was reading Mein Kampf that this was not something that I wanted to espouse? Of course. Am I richer?
Well,
am I understand? Am I richer?
Actually,
Excuse me.
Mein Kampf did have an influence on you.
Whoa. Okay. Well, that's quite a thing to say there.
Whoops.
But okay. Whoops. I would think you might want to take that back. But is there is my understanding of World War II and of Adolf Hitler's motives richer because I read that book? Of course it is. If you want to dumb yourself down and not be exposed to other viewpoints, then you really shouldn't be in college in the first place.
I'm agreeing with Julie. I think
Right.
I think students need to hear both sides of the story.
All right. Well, we agree on that. Both sides of the story. Fair and balanced. Julie Roginski, Tom Sullivan, good to see you both.
Thank you.
Martha?